Hello, my name is Susan Rushton, you know that, and this is Muse. And before I go any further, I call this Muse because I'm delighting with people who have been delighted by art and changed communities with art. The Muses are the goddesses of sciences and the arts, and that's what I'm talking about. My guest today is a woman named Julie Shelby, and she is in charge of something called Mountain Melody, Women's Chorus of Calaveras County. And you're immediately going to say, "Hey, wait a minute! Calaveras County has nothing to do with us. What is this? What are you doing?" Well, Julie Shelby is my sister. Julie Shelby is my sister, and this is mine. I can do whatever I want to, and granted, McCallum Hill, Calaveras is only an hour and a half away, and so. Julie, how long have you been doing Mountain Melody?
Mountain Melody, I started this group in 2005.
2005.
In the fall.
That's 20 years.
20 years coming up.
And
yes.
But how did you get there? Why?
Well, my husband and I moved from the San Francisco Bay Area up to the foothills, Mountain Ranch, and then to McCallum Hill. We moved in 2001, and I at that time was part of a wonderful,
gigantic,
yes, beautiful world traveling women's chorus called the Peninsula Women's Chorus, and it was a fabulous experience. And I continued to sing with them. After we moved here, I would commute down to the Bay Area every week.
That's more than a year and an hour and a half, and yet she does it. She did it all the time.
And when we moved here, I was still working in the Bay Area and traveling down for PWC rehearsals and performances. And then pretty soon I got tired, and
you were getting older,
hanging out, and my husband said, "Well, I was groaning about needing to be in the Bay Area so much to sing," and he said, "Well, why don't you start your own choir?" And I just said, "Are you crazy? I can't do that. How could I possibly? I'm a singer."
And your husband, who adored you, said,
Yes.
You can do whatever you want to. You are brilliant."
He did.
Wife, you are brilliant.
He did say that, but he also knew me well enough to plant the seed and just take a breath, and that's what happened. Okay. He nudged me towards this. In the meantime, I had been going to performances of choirs that I might want to join in the foothills. Mm-hmm. And they were beautiful choirs. They really were lovely, but I just was not drawn to join. Number one, most of them, if not all, at the time that I recall, used music. I was
doing this instead of this.
Yeah. And I had been singing most of my life and various other instruments and such, but singing became my love. And I just said, I don't think I would be able to, I wouldn't want to go to rehearsals every week. I need to be motivated to do this. And I just wasn't motivated by these other choruses, even though they are beautiful. And I've been to their performances and will continue to do so. And they're lovely. They weren't for me. So sooner or later, another friend who was still in Mountain Melody now, she said, "Oh, well," about 6 months later, said, "I have some girlfriends and we sing around the piano sometime and all this sort of stuff." And she said, "We've thought about being a group. Would you lead us?" And I somehow took a breath and said, "Okay." And therein, we started this little group, and we were just
When you say delightful. It was a little group, what?
Oh, it was like 8 people or something at my house, and So anyway, but we started and did Christmas carols with Christmas Carol books the first season. Pretty soon I realized that if I was going to spend the amount of time that I knew it would take to be an effective director,
Mm-hmm.
I wanted it to be an audition choir, which is what I was used to. I always had to audition in order to get into a choir.
Mm-hmm.
And there needed to be some groundwork laid there. Mine's
Not
much
so not
looser.
not anybody can join.
That's true.
Yeah.
And I have not accepted everyone who has auditioned, but encouraged anyone who didn't quite make it for a variety of reasons to please continue singing. This is just this genre of choir that I have here.
Mm-hmm.
And so, except for the first few, everyone has had to audition in. And I don't have strict guidelines, because when I hear an audition and a voice, I hear strengths and weaknesses where, we can work on this.
Mm-hmm.
But they're ready to do that. And so
and eager
and eager.
willing.
Yes.
They better be willing.
They do, and I
My
have
sister
had
is-
some folks that, another criteria was, we are going to memorize music.
Yes.
That's very important to me.
Mm-hmm.
And
Did you hear Phil? He
I
said,
did.
"Mhm."
Yes. And it really is true. And I know you have asked me in the past, why do that? It makes it so much more difficult. And I have
Did
had,
I say that?
oh yes.
Oh my God! I'm embarrassed
Why?
because I think
Because you know it already, that it's
that it's
good.
It's good. It's
yes,
best. It's
it is good.
For one thing, we get to see their faces,
Exactly.
and you do too.
I do. And I have had historically women who have been in the choir for maybe 2 sessions. We have 2 performance sessions a year, spring session and holiday session. And they both require as much dedication and work as the other. But I had a few ladies who quit and were angry with me through their frustration, I believe. They said, don't you know you would have a lot more women in your choir if you didn't have us memorize?
Yeah.
And I said, yes, I do realize that.
Yes.
And I encourage you that there's nothing wrong with those that do.
Yes. But you
music.
can memorize. One can.
If one
wants. Will.
Yes. But
If one will, you can memorize.
but it just didn't suit them, and
Right.
that was fine.
Mm-hmm.
So women come in, and many of the ladies who came in to join us didn't understand why. And I would explain in a nutshell that if you don't have this piece of music in front of you, number one, your brain has not automatically focused on the music well enough to internalize it. All those rhythms, all those dynamics, all those words, all those beautiful notes that are put into that music, they're still on the page. If you put that down, you have to consciously and unconsciously, your body works overtime to internalize all that. That
And it's
alone,
you.
and
It
it's
becomes
within
you,
you.
yeah.
And then you through, and it's not just on the written page. That's what singers need to feel, is to get to the point where they can feel the music within themselves and then create what the composer hopes one does, is to reflect that to an audience,
Mm-hmm.
if not only to yourself. And then also, you don't have this barrier between you and your director, and you, more importantly, with the audience. And when that's down, you are engaging with the director.
Yeah.
You also have internalized enough so that when you're not looking, and there are times when you don't have to, but you're seeing the audience and the audience is seeing you. That brings more of an experience to the audience. We are performers. We're not just on the radio. They came to see us in person for a reason, because the experience is deeper when you're in person. So this helps to optimize that. But it also, even on par with that, I personally experience this as a singer, and certainly as a director, I feel the energy from the choir. And it is very important, I think, for the singers to have that same experience for greater satisfaction
For them.
in singing, for them.
And for the audience.
Of course, for the audience.
And you.
And you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's why we memorize music. Come on board. You'll like it.
Yes, oh my.
But it is a challenge. Oh, and if I may say that we have been part, unfortunately, the leader of this Foothill Choir Festival that happened at least 10 years ago. And we were part of that. And so our choir at the time, we went there. There was no judging or anything like that. It was just for fun and to share hearing other groups in the area. And it was great. A couple of years in a row. First time we went there is the first time our group, Mountain Melody, had been in the audience together to hear and experience other groups. And they were lovely. It was all a great experience. We were the only group that memorized music. And the choir members afterwards came up to me and said, I'm a convert now. I see the difference. This was really odd to see these people looking at their music, not at the director, certainly not at us in the audience, and said, I get it now. And
Wonderful.
that was wonderful for them to see the purpose for all this horrendously hard work.
Yes.
Because we do a lot of songs, and I understand being a singer and having had to do that, how difficult it is.
Yes.
I, coming as a director, then I needed to learn how to be as effective as I can be, and I am not a formally trained director. I learned from the best as far as my artistic directors in Peninsula Women's Chorus. I remember way back when, long before I had even thought of being a director, what is it Martine is doing that enables us to feel the music and understand what he's wanting from us? And so I was watching his actions and his gestures
and his face
and his face
eyes.
as in his intensity.
Yeah.
And I just felt like a sponge. I just really wanted to incorporate that. I'm not nearly as good as he was. I'm never making that comparison. But
She's just lying. She's lying.
no, not if you saw Martine. But that's my sister for you. And then afterwards I joined American Choral Directors Association, and I take conductor workshops in the summertime. And I've learned a lot from those as well. And the ladies teach me what I need to know, because I'm well aware if I'm not hearing what I'm hoping I'm conveying, then I need to rethink what I'm doing. Yeah. So we're very connected.
Okay. So I love this. I just love this. Why are you involved with singing? What caught you?
Well, singing, number one, I'm not a soloist. That does not catch me. Being part of a choir, of a community of singers.
But you can be a solo
maybe
singer. Well, you have been.
Yes,
I've heard you.
Yes, well, that's true. That, to me, it's not all about me. And I know soloists, most of them that I know, it's about the music. That's certainly how I feel, and that's how I can get over my nervousness. If I do have to sing solos in another little group I'm in, that I get leads.
See,
sometimes.
I told her.
But what I love more is being part of the community, making this sound and this beautiful music that is fully of it's community, and community is so important. And always, to me. And
No,
we are,
it's not just you.
No,
girl.
it's not just to me, but I can only speak for me and our choir, because I have that feedback of how important it is for them to be part of a community. We put so much work into it. We put trust in me, and I trust the singers.
Yeah.
And also I have to say Marge Biaggi Castro is our fabulous pianist, and she is one and the same with Mountain Melody.
And you're telling us that because you're going to get to have this to show others, and so and
I want people to know
yes,
about Marge. Yes.
Hello, Marge.
And I can't say all of the singers their names because that would, I can't do that now. But it is just really important. It makes us feel secure, makes us all know that we are all going through the trials of learning all this music. And one of my very wise choir members said, when I was telling them I was going to be doing this today, and she said, singing and being part of a group is such a wonderful form of resistance in this time of chaos on so many levels in our country right now. That
this
to be a community, to be a community makes us strong as individuals as well as a group.
Yes.
And I believe we all need that always,
yes.
but now definitely.
Yes.
And so I appreciated her specifically focusing on that. You had asked me once, talking about this interview, of what's the best and the toughest part of being a director, artistic director. And the toughest part for me is sensing and feeling the ladies' frustrations, serious frustrations, and
I can't do it.
Yes, when it's just tough work.
Yeah.
And it just takes time. And how you get to Carnegie Hall? Practice, practice, practice. And that's the same with
okay, go on.
Yeah. So anyway, that's the toughest part, to really have to gut down inside and just not internalize the frustration, but acknowledge and figure out how I'm going to help or reassure, help them, and and offer reassurance in some way. The best part is hearing this fantastic music and see how far we have come every session, and feeling the ladies' success and their joy in the music when it's been internalized.
Yes.
And it's wonderful to get there. We do warm-ups every week, and we practice for 2.5 hours, and that's just the way it goes. And it's wonderful. We arrive there tired because it's the end of the day. We leave tired but exhilarated, typically. And but so I get up, and so I'm standing in front. I don't like to sit. I like to stand. The ladies know this, so I'm always standing and doing my thing. And we'll start and we'll work at the music and all this sort of stuff, and then we'll let's put this song together. And we start a song, and it's come together. We're not memorized yet, but we're working on it and all this. And to hear the music come at me, it's like, wow. And I just start bopping, or it's whatever, like, you ladies sound so good. And to hear it come together piece by piece, it's like, yes, that's why we're here. But it's a lot of work. We happen to have a few wonderful bakers in the group, and recently,
including her.
Well, yes, but I don't need to bring anything, but we've always had little snacks at our little break time. But now we have these elegant snacks from a couple folks that are...
Okay. You mentioned Carnegie Hall.
Oh, yes.
She mentioned Carnegie Hall. You heard it. You heard her. So let's talk about Carnegie Hall.
Okay. Mountain Melody was invited to go to Carnegie Hall to be part of, I think it was International Women's Day.
Yes.
And this was
And
back
they
in
wanted you to
2019.
come there
Yes.
to let them see how you were. And you said not only no, but hell no.
Oh, yeah, you mean, yes. They had contacted me. I had not reached out to them at
They
all.
had
This
heard about you.
organization. Or, yeah, went through Facebook. I'm sure they were looking,
Yes.
because we were
Yeah.
part of a very large choir. We didn't get to be in Carnegie Hall by ourselves on stage.
But they were.
But we were there as part of the greater group. And yeah, so we had this whole time, myself being interviewed by this person who was auditioning
In New
us.
York.
Yeah, in New York City. And she said, well, this sounds great. So why don't you see if your group is interested? And if you are, let's set up a time for an audition. And I went, no, we are in the throes of prepping, for our upcoming concerts quite soon, and we don't have time for an audition. Thank you very much. You contacted me, so I think we've
If you
talked
want
enough.
us,
Yeah, I hope
us.
we fill the bill,
Yeah.
but no, we don't have time. So maybe another time if you need us to audition, but we cannot audition now.
And
I could not take away from.
Yeah.
I'm
And you
focused at this
hadn't.
one.
You at this time your group didn't know about this.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then.
And then she said, well, no. Well, maybe we need to have an audition, but maybe I'll go back on to, I don't know, a snippet, however she found us. Maybe I'll just submit that tape. And I said, that would be great. Do what you need to do. And it would be a privilege to come there. But this is not the time for us to take time out to film an audition for you.
Yeah.
And so I got a letter saying, thank you, you've been accepted, and all this. So,
they
we
went.
had an amazing time
Yeah.
in Carnegie Hall.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
wonderful.
It was quite an adventure.
Yes. And how long ago was that?
That was in 2019.
Okay.
Yes.
Quite a while ago.
Mm-hmm.
6 years ago. Yeah.
Yes, it was great. So we've talked about going back again, because once you've auditioned, you don't need to re-audition. So, and I must hand it to Carnegie Hall that they really, their whole company or whatever has opened up Carnegie Hall over the decades to community groups. I mean, the local junior high choirs have been there or whatever. It's just, I think it's a fabulous thing that they do to give regular singing folk the opportunity to come to such a prestigious place.
Yeah.
It really is lovely.
That's great.
So kudos to that.
Yes.
And kudos to us. It was an amazing time.
Yes. Now, I do want to know how you got started at the beginning of singing. What drew you to it?
Well, let's see. Early on, as you have mentioned, Sue and I are part of a very musical family, so we were always singing as a 6-member family, just on the trail or whatever, Christmas carols and all this. I had taken piano lessons for a little while to learn, certainly where I learned how to read music, a lot about music. Also, we had been fortunate enough way back when to go to a primary school that had music.
Yeah.
It was part of the regular classes, and so learned very early on about how to read music and all this sort of stuff. And then my heart instrument ended up being the violin that I started in grade school, and I just love it. And moved on, to high school and orchestras and such like this. And then the orchestra in high school was sort of dwindling, and in the meantime, my older brother had been in choir, and so I had heard them.
Her older
sing.
brother, Bob.
My older brother, Bob.
One of my younger brothers.
Yes. And so anyway, so I transitioned over to. I had to be in the girls' choir since I had not been in a choir before. And then was there as, from then on. I did take more lessons in violin and bluegrass, fiddling, and classical, but classical was really my focus, but bluegrass is awesome. Moved on and then continued singing throughout my entire career after high school in various university choirs or community choirs up to Peninsula Women's Chorus and Mountain Melody.
Yes. And you also now have your other group.
Oh, yes. I sing in a women's quartet called the A Cappella Bellas.
A Cappella Bellas.
And again, my older brother Bob came up with that name.
Did he really?
Yeah, I said, we're thinking of a name. And he said, A Cappella Bellas. So we sing. It's a real challenge and a fun one to be one of only 4 verses. We are a cappella, so we do not have any accompaniment. And we sing jazzy things, we sing spirituals, we sing Broadway, we sing
how often?
Whatever comes along. 2 sessions a year, 2, maybe 3 sessions. We have...
so it takes a while, and
it takes a long time.
And eating and laughing and
drinking
singing.
and eating.
No, not drinking and eating.
Not till afterwards.
Laughing and talking and
working
singing,
on it. Yes, yeah. And and it takes a long time to become a cohesive group and to feel the vibe of the group. And we have a couple folks who are much more experienced in small group singing than I or another one of the ladies. And one who is professionally trained in opera. And we don't sing the opera, but her voice is amazing. And she helps us with where to place the tones. And I learn a lot from her and share that with Mountain Melody, certainly. And to say also, so much of Mountain Melody, as in the Bellas as well, we work so hard in various capacities. It's not, I am the director, and it all has to come through me and my interpretation of the music with Mountain Melody, yes. But everyone in the group adds so much to the group as far as making it work, and that's community and solidarity. And in the quartet, there is no leader to the group, but we all work very hard at blending it together. And another gal is in a couple of the local jazz bluesy bands, and her musicality is awesome in groups. And the other gal is part of Mountain Melody, as is the operatically trained person. They're part of Mountain Melody, and this other young woman brings all sorts of wonderful blend to the small group. So singing's there for everybody.
So I have a question.
Yes.
Another question.
Yes.
If somebody has an idea, maybe I could sing, but they haven't started yet. What would you tell them?
Open your mouth and sing. I had this, number one, in the shower, just hear what it feels like to sing. You're probably singing in the radio, in the car to your radio, but I could never do that. I don't know what I'm doing if in public. I had a fortune cookie years ago, and like several, not 10, whatever. Anyway, it said, sing badly if you must, but sing. And I totally agree with that. Your voice is yours. You may not be in Mountain Melody, but sing.
Or at Carnegie Hall.
Or at Carnegie Hall. But sing, because it's our way of creating beauty and peace and joy.
And a community.
And a community.
Yes. And that's what we have here in Auburn. And that's what she has in Montgomery Hill and Calaveras County. Oh, Julie, thank you. Thank you for coming out. And thank you for watching mountainmelody.org. Take a look at that. And I'm glad you're watching.